Hello. Just starting a little bit early. And since I just put this up like 2 seconds ago, I don't necessarily expect a lot of people to be here live. But if you send in questions later, if you're watching it on the replay, I will be happy to make some videos and answer those questions later. So I will be responding to things. So if you're not catching it live, no problem. Um, so anyway, I'm starting a couple minutes earlier than what I posted, but anyway, it doesn't matter because most people will probably be watching it on the replay. So here we go. The key to understanding the ascension process is that it's already happened, that ascension is already a fact. It's not something we need to sit around and wait for. When is it going to happen? We don't need to indulge in the predictions of future ascension because what it is like the earth has already ascended. Now, for those of you not familiar with the idea of ascension in general, my past life regression hypnosis mentor, Dolores Cannon, wrote a book called The Three Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth. And in that book, she talked about how people are being incarnated on Earth to, well, let me back up. Sorry. People are choosing to have incarnations on Earth right now, or souls, or more accurately, in order to take part in a really spectacular process of ascension. And that process, according to Dolores Cannon and many of my clients in hypnosis, remember, with those of you who know Dolores Cannon, a lot of people kind of make her out to be a prophet, but really all she was doing was reporting what people told her in sessions, in past life regression sessions. So she started noticing that all these people were reporting past lives as beings that never had lived on Earth. They might have been non-physical, spiritual beings. They might have been aliens, whatever. But that they are coming here now and incarnating because they want to be part of this ascension process. So what's the ascension process all about? It's about that the frequency is raising, that we're basically going in from third dimension, with fourth dimension being time, we're going to fifth dimensional frequency, whatever that means to you. What it means to me is that we're going more into oneness, and we're going out, away from duality. And so the duality is where there's always an opposite. There's good and bad, and we want the good, of course. And then we fight against the bad. So we're in this oppositional situation at all times. We're in a state of duality. Ascension is where we transcend that paradigm and go into more of a state of oneness. And as we go into a state of oneness, by definition, that means we have to transcend duality. So transcending duality isn't that easy. We are programmed into duality. It's like if somebody gets, if I have an intuition about something for a client, the most common thing is people say, is that good or bad? So duality is ingrained, pain, pleasure, good or bad, light or dark, right? All the opposites of the world are duality. But if we imagine that there's this duality as like a triangle, and then there's the apex, there's no duality here, right? And here it's a duality. It's left, right, right, left. But in essence, there is no duality because everything is the divine. And the divine is unity. Spirit is in a state of unity, not duality. As humans, we want to say good spirits, bad spirits, and all that kind of stuff. But the issue is that we are resolving the duality. What does not resolve the duality is saying, I want to go from the bad side of the duality to the good side. Of course, everybody wants the good stuff. I'm not criticizing that. But in terms of what ascension means, it's not about going after the good stuff. It's about resolving the opposition. So it's a new way of thinking. And the idea is that the earth has already ascended. And this has come through many different levels for a while. I've been hearing it through many different people whose intuition I trust, that it's not about when are we going to ascend. It's like you're in ascension. The ascension's already happened. It's more like, when are you going to catch up? When am I going to catch up to it? And it's not just a decision. Everybody might say, yeah, sure, I want to ascend. But you might be in kindergarten and you want to ascend to a PhD program. But if you got into that PhD program, you might feel a little unprepared. You might feel a little uncomfortable in that PhD program. And you might realize you skipped a few steps and you might need to go back and retrace those steps. So the ascension process isn't going to really let you skip steps. And to the degree that you do, if that is possible, it's not necessarily going to be any easier or any better. Okay. It's going to be probably more challenging. So, for example, let's say you have a person in your life and you go between love and hate. And then I can hear you saying, well, hate is too strong, whatever. Let's just say you go between love and hate. And then you say, well, I just want to be on the love side. I don't want to be on the hate side of this equation. And so you try to go on to the love side, but then when you're trying to be loving, you notice hatred emerges every now and then, which means you're not really holding the pure frequency of love, because you can't, because you're still in the duality. And what you're doing is you're trying to suppress the negative and only be in the positive. Well, that's what humanity has been doing for a long time, and it hasn't worked. But there's kind of an addictive quality to this, where we kind of think, well, I can't give up on trying for the goodness. But what if there's something that transcends duality? What if there is a kind of realm of existence that transcends reality? Well, if that is the case, maybe we need to find it. And what I'm saying is that the energy around us has already gotten there. So we just have to like let the wind be at our backs. Okay. And so what do you do to transcend the duality? Number one, you deal with the issues in your life. They're coming up whether you like it or not. Whether it's insecurity, anxiety, a sense of dread, whether it is fear, irrational fear, maybe rational fear, but overdone. So when you transcend these things, it's not that you go for the opposite, it's that you let the whole thing go. It's like, stupid example, silly example. I'm not much of a sports fan. So generally, I don't really care which team wins. But if I'm watching sports, if I'm watching football, for example, I like to see touchdowns. I like to see first downs. I like to see long completed passes. I root for the offense. And when the offense goes on defense and they switch it up, a lot of times I still root for the offense. I don't really care about who wins. Let's face it, professional sports teams are just owned by billionaires, and they're not really a reflection of their local area so much. It would be one thing if, for example, every professional sports team had to get all of their players from their local area. And then you really had people from Denver were playing football against people from New York and Texas and whatever. That might be more fun. But these are all hired guns, right? So I don't really care which team wins. I just want to see touchdowns. I want to see them get a first down. I want to see a run. I want to see whatever. So if you say, Andy, what side are you rooting for? I'm not. I'm rooting for the offense. I'm rooting for a high scoring game. And since I'm not that knowledgeable about the game, I don't really understand the intricacies of defense, which is why soccer doesn't appeal to me like many Americans, I suspect, because it's a lot about defense and there aren't that many goals for the amount of time that you're watching. I mean, you watch an hour and a half game and it's like 0-1. Boring. Okay, I want more scoring than that. Okay, so if we have the duality of this team, I know it's a silly example. I'm up here. I just want to see them succeed. I want to see the offense succeed. Okay, and so I'm not going to get upset no matter who wins. I'm only going to probably get upset if there's no scoring, because that's what I came for. Now, it's like, let's say your parents put you through a bunch of crap, a bunch of drama. You're trying to figure out which one's the bad one and which one's the good one. Well, in a dualistic system, you're going to have to come up with that's the good one and that's the bad one. But when you transcend the duality, you see them living in their own little yin-yang bubble. And you might just not really be into the whole bubble. And you don't have to choose. You transcend. You say, I don't want to really be like either one of them. You can love your parents. You can be very grateful to your parents. But you might want to transcend the matrix of your parents, that kind of thing. So, anyway, as you transcend the duality, then you get into what has been called the ascension process. And the argument is that Earth has already transcended that duality, that energetically it's already happened. And so, all the things that are coming up in you, all the emotions that seem to be coming out of nowhere, those are happening to help you integrate the ascension process in your life. And so that's a lot of the work that I do. Even though a lot of clients who come to me, obviously they want to go to the good side of the duality. They want to go from pain to pleasure, failure to success, right? Aloneness to relationship, whatever. But as you actually transcend the matrix, well, it's like the movie The Matrix, right? Let's say if there are people in the matrix that are supposedly the good side, and then there are people that are the bad side. Well, when you get out of the matrix, you realize it's all the matrix. The good guys are in the matrix just as much as the bad guys are in the matrix. And so it's not about picking sides within the matrix. It's about getting out of the matrix. So anyway, something to think about. Just wanted to come on and do this little short live stream. I got to get into more live streams because I can't expect people to show up if it's not something I do on a regular basis. But anyway, if you're watching it on the replay, because almost nobody's watched it live, a couple people dipped in for a second, then please, any issue that you have with what I say, any questions you have, please put it down. I will make an effort to come back and look through everything and address them in future videos, long or shorts. So if you want to see that, just subscribe, hit the bell, and you will be notified. Thanks so much for being here. Talk to you soon.